and welcome to another spooky episode of Codo Cinema, the podcast show where I talk about movies. I bid your welcome as your host, the man, the myth, the horror, the legend, Mark Codo, aka Codo Man. Codo Man? Who's this Codo Man person? Ha! I'm taking over this show right now. Wait a minute, who are you? I'm just your extra variant. I'm Ghostface Codo. Ghostface Codo? Who's Ghostface Codo? I mean, where are my other variants coming from? This isn't the multiverse. I got my good friend DJ Apollo here from Tales of Music and Film to help me out. Is that right?
Yes, Mr. Ghostface. I believe you wanted me to be on the show to help because I believe you said that I know a lot about scary movies, so you asked me if I could be on here, and I was like, sure.
Well, hello there, DJ Apollo. How you doing?
Well, I am just doing grand. Gotta say, honored to meet you. Think you're pretty cool. You're very iconic in the slasher world. I'm still bummed that we have no news yet as of when Scream 7 is going to be.
We're still waiting on that
Yeah,
one to come out. I mean, hey, I do know one thing. Ever since the first Scream film came out, and ooh, what year was it? Oh, I get it, 1996, which is I'm pretty sure that's probably 2 years before you were born and this Codoman guy was born. I mean, there were still some horror movies, even slasher movie genre as well. But even this one from Wes Craven, that was something.
yeah. And we are covering, I believe you said that you wanted to cover the film that started this whole franchise. We're going back to the very beginning.
Yep. So anyway, when I heard about this, I didn't know about this Codoman guy. I mean, hey, I heard he's done a lot of movies. I know you have seen a lot of scary movies. Is that right?
Yes, I have seen a lot of scary movies. Horror is my favorite genre to study and watch in my spare time.
Yeah, same here. Hey, even though I mean, I seen Alfred Hitchcock's Psycho, the Shining from Stephen King, and then of course some of the Tim Burton movies. What?
Yeah.
You're not into a whole lot of scary movies, Codo Man? I mean, okay, yeah. I mean, uh-oh, uh-oh, it's right. Hey, I got a scary movie for you. How about we talk about the first Scream movie? Scream? Yeah, Scream, the film that kind of started it all. Why do you think I'm standing here in the first place? Am I right, DJ Apollo?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Why
Okay,
not why not we talk about the very beginning?
yeah. So anyways, the first Scream film came out in 1996. It's obviously an American slasher film that is directed by Wes Craven, who is very well known for directing Nightmare on Elm Street that featured Freddy Krueger. And then, and then of course, the film stars David Arquette, Neve Campbell, Courtney Cox, Matthew Lillard, Rose McGowan, Skeet Ulrich, and Drew Barrymore. It's set in the small American town of Woodsboro, and of course, the plot of the film follows high school student Sydney Prescott and her friends, who, on the anniversary of her mother's murder, become the targets of a costume serial killer known as Ghostface.
So I guess I'll start by saying that Scream really runs in my family. My mom and I my mom was the one who introduced me to the Scream franchise back when I was 16 or 17, I believe, when I watched the first four films for the first time. And I fell in love with them instantly. They were one of the first like major horror films I watched because I wasn't really into horror yet at the time, but they were the first films that really introduced me to the genre of slashers. My parents went on a date in 1997 to see Scream 2 in theaters. And I've seen my mom and I have went to theaters to see Screams 5 and 6. And we both had amazing times seeing those in theaters. Um, I'm very happy that the franchise is up and running again. I think 5 and 6 are the best installments we've gotten since the first movie, and I'm very excited to see what the studio is going to do with 7. I love this franchise to death, as I've said, and I went to Flashback Weekend, which is a horror convention. I have you guys watched the last episode that I did with Codoman? I mentioned this. Flashback Weekend is a horror con in Rosemont near Chicago, and this past August, they had 4 guests from Scream. They had Skeet Ulrich, Jamie Kennedy, and Rose McGowan, and they had a stuntman who played Ghostface in the first 2 movies. And here is the picture. Quality is not exactly the greatest, but you can kind of see him.
Ooh, that is
And if you look over here,
awesome. Yeah, yeah, that is awesome. I remember seeing that picture in when I was when we did the last episode. Wait, you did a last? Wait, you did an episode before me? Yeah, exactly. We were talking. DJ and Paul and I, we were talking about Army of Darkness. That's when you first showed me the picture. It was an awesome picture. Yeah, I agree. That was an awesome picture.
yeah, and it was a very big honor on my part to meet them. And I actually the other part I loved about the convention was that I ran into there was quite a bit of Scream related costumes at the convention, so that was very cool. And uh I just think the franchise keeps getting better with every installment. I think Wes Craven would be very happy to see that the franchise is living on, and I'm just happy that we're getting new Scream films again. I feel very fortunate to be a part of this generation where we get to see these again. Now, Codo Man, I believe you've said you've only seen the first one, right?
Yes, I have. I watched the first one over the weekend in preparation for this episode. Oh, good. Oh, good for you, Codo man. You must have loved that movie. In fact, I have. I actually like this. I actually love this movie. I mean, horror movies is. I wouldn't say horror movies is like my top favorite genre, but coming this time around in October, which is we are actually nearing the end of October, by the way. I would just want to sit down and watch something. I mean, hey, even though if it even is a horror movie, combined with different genres is it's still fun. It's still fine. It is a comedy film too. It's not just a slasher genre. I mean, yes, that's true because there are definitely some comedy elements to it. Okay, Coda Man, take it easy. I know you're excited, but anyway, I know this movie. This movie, even though this movie is a slasher genre, like the Halloween movie, even Nightmare on Elm Street. Heck, you could probably argue Psycho. In fact, this movie references a lot of other slasher movies and horror movies as well. Did you notice that when you were watching Scream?
Well, what I like most about what this film did was that it really redefines the term meta, where it's like you have a serial killer in a ghost face costume, and he kills his victims on whether or not, like he stalks them through a phone, and then he asks them a series of questions, and if they get one wrong, either they or a friend of theirs is killed. And it's just a very interesting dynamic, and it's a very creative thing to use. And in the meanwhile, in the Scream franchise's universe, like you have the stab movies, which is Scream within Scream. So it's just like it's just the meta-ness just keeps getting more and more just
Oh, oh my goodness,
out there.
that's pretty meta too. That's like playing on, like you said, is playing on Scream, like Scream, like you get Scream one, and then you get Stab one, you get Scream two, then there's Stab two. Like, how meta is this franchise?
Yeah, like the movies are like Stab is, it's the same thing. Like it's a Scream, it's a movie within a movie. It's Scream within Scream. It's the same, plot, just with that universe's actors. So it makes it even more just like what? it's a lot to take in. Like Scream 2 literally opens with this young couple going to see the premiere of the first Scream movie, which is recapping with them seeing Stab 1, which is literally the first Scream movie. Like I just thought that was so crazy of a concept to pull off, and and they made it work.
I mean, it made it
Um,
work so well. Now, I know Codoman hasn't seen the second Scream movie. He's seen the first one, but
right,
even
right.
though
I
we're
was
talking about, wait, what'd you say?
no, I just said, I'm just saying that this movie does a lot of brand new concepts that we've never seen before. And this movie's impact, over 25 years later is like this movie is just as big now as it was when it was released.
It's a big movie. Well, I wouldn't say I wouldn't say that not like Avengers level big movie. I'm just talking about like like the slasher genre movie. Like
Well, I would argue it's better. This one movie's better than the entire MCU, in my
oh, I
opinion.
agree. I agree with you. Now, don't get me wrong.
Is
I have seen some of the MCU movies. In fact, I bumped into Codo Strange. I mean, he's not in this. I mean, he's not in this. I mean, he's not going to be in this. I mean, he's got other multiverses to worry about. But with this movie, but with this movie, it really does take you to that level. In fact, I know you mentioned the opening of Scream 2. How about we talk about that opening in the first Scream movie, because it really sets the bar for what this movie's gonna get. Yeah, I agree. I agree. Yeah, I agree. Because because in the opening, I think
um
we should definitely go into the opening of the first Scream movie.
yeah, yeah, definitely. We should definitely cover the opening. Um I think this movie I think I think the original Scream has I think it could be up there with one of the most iconic film openings like ever put to film. Like we see this young teenage blonde played by Drew Barrymore, amazing actress.
Yeah,
Haven't seen her in that much
she's
stuff,
an
but
amazing actress. Amazing actress. I mean, in fact, I believe if I remember correctly, this is one of those films where it helped revive her career. Yeah, that's what I heard. I heard she had some trouble. She had like a lot of trouble in her youth, but this film really had the reputation to help revive her career. Yeah, exactly. This
yeah,
is like one of those films where it helped revive an actor's career.
yeah, because she's been acting since she was a little girl. I mean, she's been acting ever since 1982. Like she was in the original ET from 1982. Like she's been an actress almost her whole life. But yeah, I can definitely see in the 90s. Her career kind of like wasn't doing too hot, but I would not be surprised that Scream revived it. Like here's something you need to keep
It's
in
one of those
mind is
movies.
that she was in the movie for like 7 minutes.
I thought it was a little long. I mean, I thought it was. I mean, to be fair, I thought it was a little longer than that. I mean, not the entire movie, but like the opening felt a little longer than I thought. Yeah, you're right, Codo man. I thought so too. I
Well,
mean,
yeah, I'm just saying like Drew's acting in that opening scene was incredible. Like what the point I'm trying to make here is that she was in the movie for like 10 minutes and it's like 27 years later like she's still like her character is still like extremely popular in pop culture even though she was barely in the movie.
she was
I
like the
think that really
first.
says something about her acting.
She was like the first victim, like one of the first victims She was like the first victim in the opening scene.
Yeah, like she's the very first kill by Ghostface and I'm telling you right now I think her death has yet to be topped. I thought Scream Five's opening, I thought it got pretty close to Scream 1, but I still think that Scream 1's opening is still the best. I would say it's the best kill in the franchise, in my opinion.
The original still holds up. Sure, yeah, some other adaptations may try to compete that, but still, the first time around still holds up.
Yeah, it does. It does very much. And the opening really sets the tone for what you're about to watch. It starts off as a normal, call, and then it's like the suspense is a rubber band, right? And then
Yeah,
as the scene goes on, you're just stretching it until it breaks.
yeah,
Like it's like
like a
Wes is like
smooth,
trying to push, like how far can I make this tension go?
the
And it
tension was
it
so
just slowly keeps getting worse.
yeah, it really does because Drew Barrymore's character Casey Becker receives this phone call who I want to say was a friend of hers, but no, it was somebody else. It was the man himself. That is right, Coda Man. It was the killer, Ghostface, who was making the call.
Yeah,
And to be honest,
absolutely. And the part that gets me with that opening is that she almost got away. She missed her parents by pure seconds.
yeah. And then
Like
like
she almost gets away.
she almost got away, and dang, she got through Ghostface pretty well. She picked up a very good fight. Like she hit Ghostface like a few times prior to running away. Yeah, she really threw in some good punches.
Yeah, she did. I really liked how we're introduced to Ghostface's method of stalking victims, and then he does the famous his famous theme where he asks the victim three questions about horror movies, and if they get them right, the person they're threatening gets to live. And she got 2 out of 3. She got the last one wrong. She was asked who is the original killer in the Friday the 13th films, and she said Jason Voorhees, but she forgot that in the original Friday the 13th, it was Jason's mom was the killer.
Yeah,
Jason didn't
I was
show
like,
up till part 2.
yeah, I was like, I mean, I always thought it was Jason Voorhees as the original killer, but no, it was actually his mother in in the first movie, and I'm just like, what? Wait, what? Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I didn't think that would be possible. You just gotta connect the dots. That's all.
Yeah, but I really liked the idea. And I have to give a shout out to the voice actor who does the Ghostface voice. It's one of the most iconic voice work I've ever seen. Like,
Roger L.
there
Jackson.
isn't a day that goes by. That's right. That's his name.
Yeah, Roger L.
But
Jackson is the
that
guy
hit
is
the
the voice actor for Ghostface.
yeah, his voice work as Ghostface is some of the greatest voice work I have ever heard in my life. And his voice work keeps getting better with each passing sequel. I think his best performance was Scream 5. Like his voice work in that was amazing. I think my favorite Ghostface line was I don't think I'll spoil 5 for you, but there's an amazing scene in Scream 5 where he's chasing this poor helpless teenager in a wheelchair, and Ghostface is on the phone with her sister, and he's just going, "All right, I'll give you one chance. I'll only kill one." Like because he has her boyfriend knocked down on the floor, and he has the teenager's sister on the phone, and he's telling her that she has to make a choice, save the guy or her sister. And I love the voice work in that one. Like my favorite, he goes, "I'll be sure to hit all the organs that I missed last time." It's just
Actually,
so.
can I actually gotta confess something right here.
What's up?
I actually saw clips of Scream 5 as well, and from what you just mentioned, that was the scene that I saw. Wait, that was the scene that you saw, Codo Man? I mean, wow. Normally you gotta watch the whole movie first, but hey, the internet. I mean, it's the internet. They're gonna post stuff online.
Yeah, Scream 5 is current. Like Screams 1 and 5 are my top two faves, and my top three is 5, 6, and 1.
And
But
did you know Jenna Ortega is in both films?
yeah, she is. She plays the main girl's sister in those, but It's complicated. We'd have to save that topic for another time. But for now, we're just focusing on the original movie. But
Yeah, that's
um,
yeah, yeah, that's true.
I was
That's
just
definitely
mentioning
true.
five because I think it has Roger's best voice performance as Ghostface. But yeah, had to give him a shout out. I hope someday that they come up with an app that you can put on your phone where it makes your voice sound like Ghostface. Because there isn't a day that goes by that I wish I could prank call friends with
Ooh,
that with that
that's actually a
voice.
good idea.
I
Yeah,
would love to do that. Back to the movie itself. So we discussed the opening, which is amazing. Like, what did you like about the opening, Codo man?
well, what I like about the opening, obviously, of what is basically the build up of what we're gonna get throughout the rest of the movie. Like how Ghostface literally kills the first victim. Not only that, but there was another victim as well during that time. It was her boyfriend. Her boyfriend also got killed too.
Yeah, that was another iconic moment. And a funny story regarding that scene is that before mom and I started watching the first Scream, she gave me a heads up beforehand. She goes that don't her exact quote was something like, "Don't worry, it's not that violent." And then, 7 minutes, 8 minutes go by, and then we see the dude like Drew Barrymore's character watches as her boyfriend's stomach got sliced open by Ghostface. I just remember thinking, "Oh yeah, so it's not that violent, mom." And then that final shot that we see of Drew Barrymore's character, like Ghostface literally hung her body from a tree with the phone cord because she was dragging her to the tree and she had a death grip on the phone she was using. And then her mom falls down to her knees screaming when she sees her body hanging from the tree.
Yeah, it was terrifying too.
Yeah, I
And then
know.
after that, and then of course, um, her parents, and then her parents were shocked about this, which also segues into our main character named Sydney, who's being played by Neve Campbell.
Or I think it's pronounced Nev Campbell.
Oh, is it actually Neve Campbell?
Yeah, I believe,
There's
yeah,
no,
Nev Campbell.
yeah,
I believe it's Nev. That's how I say it. But we're segueing into the cast, and I'm saying this right now. Sydney Prescott, as far as I'm concerned, she is one of the greatest female leads in horror film history.
I think she's up there with the other. I think she's up there with the other girl from the first Nightmare on Elm Street movie, and then
Yeah, Nancy
yeah, Nancy, and then Jamie Lee Curtis from
Lee
Halloween.
Curtis. Yeah, she's up there with them, and Ellen Ripley. She's up there with them as far as I'm concerned. Like Nev Campbell, I'm so happy that she was the one picked for this role. Like, she's one of the greatest actresses, like from the '90s. I've had a crush on Nev for a very long time. Like, she is an amazing, amazing person. I hope I get to meet her one day, but she is amazing as Sydney Prescott. I can't imagine. This is her role. Like, I know for a fact this is going to be her most iconic role in her career.
Yeah, yeah.
It's the one role like she's very
This
known
is the role
for.
that made her a name. So
Yeah, this is the movie that really gave her the career she had. Or this is the movie. This was her big break. This was her first time being the lead in something,
yeah, yeah. Hey, yeah. She was very good, and
and not just her too. Like the entire cast in this is one of the things I love most about this movie is the cast. Like you have the iconic characters of Gail Weathers played amazingly by uh Courtney Cox. You got Dewey played by David Arquette. You have Sydney's best friend, played by Rose McGowan. You have Sydney's boyfriend, played by Skeet Ulrich. You have uh trying to think, you have Jamie Kennedy as Randy.
He's
Like
just
the list, just you have Matthew Leonard as Stu.
hmm Oh,
Just
going back to Jamie Kennedy for a sec. He was he played the video store guy named Randy Meeks.
for Best Buy. I remember we watched uh a documentary in one of my college classes at Eastern about the very last blockbuster. And I remember they showed us a clip from one of the commercials that Jamie did.
Oh man, rest in peace, Blockbuster. Though,
Oh yeah.
can we get a moment of silence for Blockbuster, please?
Yeah. I mean, like not just I would say not just Blockbuster, but movie rental places in general, like they're almost extinct now. And
Yeah.
it's really a darn shame too. Like I loved going in there on weekends and just renting out a couple of movies. Like there's gonna be generations now who are not gonna get to know what that feels like. And that breaks my heart. It was a very special thing for me.
It'll live on in our memories. I know.
Yeah, we got we
Oh,
we got to experience it. So but yeah, like I was saying, like I think this movie has some of the most iconic cast like ever put to screen. I love the cast in this movie. Like I think everybody brought their A game.
I
Like,
thought
do you
so
have a
too.
favorite
Yeah.
character in this, Codo Man?
What?
Do you have a favorite character?
Oh, this. Oh, wow. That's actually a good question. Because when I saw this movie, I haven't thought of like who's my favorite character. But if I were to pick a character that I actually liked, I'm gonna have to go. I'm gonna have to go with Ghostface in this movie because he's the main guy. He's like the main guy. Like he's the main guy. He's everywhere. He's basically everywhere in this movie. Like like you could definitely feel his presence throughout the movie. Like his presence is felt throughout this movie. Most notably from Sydney, and then obviously another character who felt the presence. The principal, the high school principal.
Yeah. Like this movie does an amazing job of keeping the killer's identity a secret. So I mean the main plot is that the killer is most likely one of the students at the school, and we don't know which one that it is.
Yeah, and
So
even
it's like
in this
who can
movie,
trust who?
yeah, like even in this movie, like even at the school, the principal almost expelled two of the students who were wearing like the ghost face mask, like because they're just fooling around. But the principal, who is really wanting to, he like you can definitely tell he cares about this school and like he doesn't want anything bad happen. Like he doesn't want this all this he doesn't want all the violence to happen on this school, on the school grounds.
Well, the scene you're talking about is that Sydney was in the bathroom, and then apparently two guys dressed up in Ghostface
Oh,
costumes and pulled a prank on her. And then the principal gave them a real, a good beat down with words afterwards in the office, you know, giving them a slap down because what they did was extremely wrong. Like you have this poor young girl who just lost her mom just a year ago by this point,
okay,
and
so
she's been almost killed twice. And now these two knuckleheads, are dressing up in the very costume the killer wears, and they're scaring her, making her think that she was being attacked again. Like he wasn't going to stand for that. He actually had both of them expelled.
and then he backtracked. I think.
Well, I don't know if he backtracked or not, but he made his stance clear that he was not going to put up with any of that. I gotta give him props. Like he knew how to make the rules.
Yeah, like okay, I can definitely see why these two guys they really went they literally crossed the line. the film establishes that Sydney's mom was killed, and all she has is her father. But the thing was the thing was who was the actual who was the kill who was Sydney's who was the killer of Sydney's mom?
Yeah, and I remember that, they're talking about the character of Cotton, which you see him like once and it's through a TV. Cotton is seen more in part two. Like one of Screen Two's main themes is Cotton, but he is believed to be Sydney's mom's killer because you find out that she was having an affair with him, and Sydney believed that he was the one who did it, so he got arrested. But then Scream 2, then at the end of this movie, you find out he's innocent, that the Ghostface killer is killed Sydney's mom too, which is revealed at the end. But the movie does a really good job of keeping the killer's identity a secret. Like the whole movie, you're gonna think it's this one person, then you're gonna change your mind. Like it's a guessing game, basically.
Like a who done
And
it,
I
like a
think,
who done it.
do you think the movie did a good job of hiding the villains?
I thought it did a very good job because, like, throughout the entire movie, you're trying to figure out, you're trying to find out who's the killer, and it's like hinting like who's the actual killer until like until the finale. Like the finale itself, like you get this big reveal. Like it's not just one guy. There's two guys. There's two guys who are revealed as the killer, and I don't want to tell you who the killers are. I think we should definitely save that for the end. But I will tell you this: there are two guys who are the killers.
Yeah, every Scream movie has two killers, but the third movie.
Yeah. So anyway, I want to go back to the principal because he also had an encounterment with the with Ghostface as well. But before that, we got a special appearance by the director in in the scene where the principal, who's played by Henry Winkler, he opens the office door just to see like why are the students messing around? Why are the students messing around? And then he was like, oh, those little students. And then we get this janitor who hears the principal, and he's like, "What'd you call me? Huh?" Then the principal's like, "Nothing." That was actually Wes Craven in his Freddy Krueger outfit. Did you notice
Yeah, it's a
that?
nice little. Yeah, it's a nice. It's a very nice reference.
Yeah, because Wes Craven directed Nightmare on Elm Street, who directed the first Scream movie. Like that is a very nice call. That is a very nice attention to detail. And I think this was the only crossover they got
Yeah, I
for.
don't think they did anything else like this in the sequels.
So anyway, Ghostface ends up killing the principal, and I'm actually that was the only scene. That was one of the few scenes that I was surprised about because I thought the principal would live on throughout the rest of the movie. I didn't think he would get killed off that quick.
Oh yeah, he doesn't last long at all. Then you find out at the party at the end of the film, you find out his body's been strung from one of the football field goals.
Oh boy, there will be a football game for that.
No, sir.
Yep. And then all the students were also partying too. In fact, even before that, the school announced that everybody's gonna be going on curfew for like they got a curfew, but they already broke that rule. Just like, hey, let's go party! Hey, everybody, let's go party! Yay!
Yeah, like the movie, Stu's family lives in this giant house. He's having a huge party, which you kind of wonder how the city let him get away with that, considering there was like citywide curfew going on. Yeah, he was somehow able to have this huge party with like half the school there.
For me, he's my third best character. He's my third best character. Sydney's my second best character. David
Oh
Arquette's
yeah,
character is my third.
yeah.
And
Um,
he and oh man, I'm skipping over the news reporter that Courtney Cox played because the news reporter she started off as like one of those like Courtney Cox's character is one of those like reporters who, how do I say this? But do you like know what? But do you kind of know what I'm talking about?
yeah. So I think it was pretty. I don't know. Like I didn't like Gale Weathers till like the fourth Scream. Um, in the early Scream movies, I found Gale Weathers to be pretty annoying. Like especially in the first two movies. Like my favorite scene in this movie, one of my favorites, is when uh Sydney socks her in the face because she like Sydney and her friend are trying to sneak out the back, and then Gail is just right behind them, shoving a microphone in their face, and then you know Sydney comes out with this idea. She acts like she's interested in Gail's new book, and then Gail just goes, "I'll send you a copy." And then just Sydney walks up and socks her right in the face, and she just falls right to the ground. It's very, very good scene.
Was that Gail's copy?
Yeah, you could say that. But
So that was after when Sydney found out that her boyfriend like her boyfriend
Billy,
Billy.
Sydney's boyfriend is Billy Loomis.
Yeah, Billy got arrested because she believes, and so does the police. Well, even though an investigation that was starting. Like they believe that Billy was the one who came into Sydney's house and attempt to kill her.
Yeah, because Sydney gets attacked at her house. And like the minute Ghostface leaves, Billy comes knocking at the window. Then they're hugging inside Sydney's room. And then a phone falls out of his pocket. Then that makes Sydney believe that he was the one attacking her.
Yeah, and this was put on the news as well. Even 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 the news reporter like she wanted this story, like she really wanted this story so badly. Like this is like breaking news. Like and Gail, Courtney Cox's character, she tells this cameraman to come on, move your butt. We need this story. Get that camera rolling. We need the story. Get moving.
Yeah, like Gail is really, in the first few films, like she's very arrogant and doesn't care about anyone but herself, and she'll get the story by any means necessary. She doesn't care who gets hurt or killed as long as she gets a good story. Like Scream, one of my favorite things about Scream 6 is that the Ghostface in Scream 6 calls her out on the fact that her whole career is based off the suffering of others. Like, hot take, but it's basically true. Like what happens is every experience she goes through in the ghost in the Scream movie, she writes a book about it.
Oh
And then
dang.
each stab movie is depicting everything she wrote in her books. Like the stab movies adapt Gail's books into film.
Oh oh wow. And that's why in the first movie and that's all probably one of the reasons in this movie why this whole book is mentioned in that first movie. Like, and then Sydney was like, "I'll send you a copy." Punch.
Yeah, one of my favorite scenes in the movie. But yeah, Gail, dude, I gotta tell you though, I think I disliked Gail more than the killers, and that's saying something.
Oh man. Hey, Even the first Die Hard movie, that movie had a reporter who got his comeuppance at the end.
Yeah, I think I disliked him more than the actual villain, Hans.
Yeah, and the
But
report, yeah, because the reporter got his at the end in the first Die Hard movie. To which, by the way, it's a Christmas
it's
movie.
a Christmas movie.
Oh
Oh
man,
yeah, it's my favorite Christmas movie.
oh yeah. But anyway,
Um,
back to Scream. I like the support. I like Rose McGowan's character. Like she's like one of the best supporting characters for Sydney. Like I see her as a caring friend of hers.
yeah, exactly, and that's what I liked about Rose's character as well. Do you know her character's name? I can't remember. Yeah,
Let me
I
think
can't
about
remember her name. The
it.
character she plays.
Tatum, Tatum Riley.
Tatum, that's it. Okay. But Tatum, she's like the ultimate like best friend. Like she was there for Sydney every step of the way. Like anytime she was attacked, she'd pull up in her car right away and she'd be there to help her with anything. Like she, as far as I'm concerned, was a very genuine good friend.
Yeah, she was a
Like I
very good
feel like
friend,
young
and
women, like young women should watch this movie and pay attention and be like, okay, that's the kind of friend I want to be.
yeah, because like movies nowadays, like oh man, I wanted to, how do I describe the movies nowadays? Like some of that is like what we see in this movie. Some of that is lost in the new movies outside of Scream.
Yeah, like I think what you're trying to say, I think what you're thinking of is that this movie Scream does a good job of portraying a good, healthy friendship, but today's movies, the writing is nowhere near as good. Like it feels like it's like a look, they're friends, like them. Instead of, showing us that they're friends, they feel like they have to spoon feed us the information.
Yeah, like it's shoving down people's throats. Like okay, I mean, like, yeah, they're friends, but show us show us that they care for each other. Like Scream, for example. Scream is one of those examples, and I'm pretty sure there's a few other films that came out before that as well. But this movie shows that Sydney and Tatum, like, they're friends, but they show that they care for each other. Like they're always there.
Right. Like we can see visually why they're friends. Like Tatum is very protective of her in every scene. Like going back to the scene I was talking earlier, Tatum realizes that there's reporters all over Sydney's house. So they try to sneak out the back, and then Gail and all of them are there trying to talk to Sydney, and Tatum's telling every single one of them, to screw off, leave her alone.
Yeah, exactly. Like it's like the paparazzi are just like it's like the paparazzi are right by her front doorstep.
Yeah, exactly. Um, and while we're on the subject of her, when tiptoeing back to the climax of the film where we start losing characters, I think so. I'll give a spoiler warning, but I think Tatum had the most violent death in this movie. She's up there with Drew Barrymore's character's death.
She
Like
did,
Tatum
yes.
got a very violent end. Like, what did you think of that?
Oh, that was brutal. Like she was in this garage and she went and she's inside this garage grabbing beer and she noticed that the door was locked and but the thing was like it was Ghostface who was blocking her way, but then she realizes that it's the real deal. Like she she fights Ghostface.
Yeah,
She
like
fights
at
for her
first,
life to escape Ghostface, but no, like Ghostface had the upper hand. She crawls through this cat door and in the garage through the garage door, and I'm just gonna say this as a nitpick. Who puts a cat door on the garage door. Like, I'm not talking about like garage door that opens the door to the garage, but I'm talking about like the garage door that goes up.
Yeah. But I also thought it was really funny how at first she thinks that it's her boyfriend, like Stu, pulling a joke. Like
Matthew
she
Lillard.
walks up to Ghostface and she's all like, "Don't kill me, Mr. Ghostface. I want to be in the sequel."
Oh man, and I'm glad that you mentioned that
But
too,
anyway,
because that was also dropped in the end of the movie too. Because like in sequels, like we like Sydney like spoiler alert, Sydney survives for the sequels, and but Rose McGowan's character Tatum does not, because Ghostface kills her by opening the garage door, and she was stuck on this cat door, and she gets crushed.
yeah, like it's a very violent end. And then I think like not long, I can't remember if this scene happens before or after, but we get the iconic scene. So we have a group of high schoolers in the house living room and they're watching the first Halloween. And then we get the classic scene of Randy, going over the rules of surviving a horror movie. And I love Jamie's performance in this moment where he's all like, "What? You guys don't know the rules?" So he pauses the movie, gets up. He's like, "Guys, there are basic rules to surviving a horror movie. Number one, you can never have sex. Ever.
Number two, don't drink any alcohol. Don't drink any alcohol or
Or
grab
do
any beer.
drugs."
And then
Yeah.
the third rule is don't leave the room. Don't say I'll be right back.
Yeah. Stu proceeds to get up. "Hey, you want another beer?"
Yeah.
"I'll be right back." Yeah.
Oh my god, that is savage. That is savage. That is so savage. And I just laughed at that moment. Like he was, because all the rules were broken. All the rules are broken in this very moment. Like Stu went. I mean, actually, to be fair, Tatum also broke the rules already as well, and so did Sydney,
Yeah, and then
and then Gail as well.
yeah,
It
they all
all
broke
comes in.
they kind of broke the rule. Yeah. And funny enough, Randy was the only one who didn't break the rules. Like I like how at the end when the killers are killed, he just goes like, "I've never been so happy to be a virgin." Like oh boy.
Oh my goodness. All the rules were broken. Like, and I say that's pretty meta too, because like if you really think about it, in like the slasher genre movies, Halloween, Friday the 13th, Nightmare on Elm Street, like those rules were broken as well. Like every single rule was broken.
Yeah. And so while this was going on, so Skeet, in the movie, Billy is announced innocent, and he comes to the party to make amends with Sydney. And I love how we had a scene in the high school with Rose McGowan, with her character Tatum. Tatum and Stu are at her locker, and then Sydney's like, "Have you seen Billy? Is he mad at me?" And Stu's like, "Oh, you mean when you brand him the Candy Man?" I I love that line.
Oh man, that's a good line.
Yeah.
That was a good that was a good
Um, so Billy shows up to the party to make amends with Sydney, and they go upstairs. And Sydney proceeds to break, the rule that we discussed earlier. They're
rule number
sealing the
one.
deal, if you will, upstairs while the movie scene's happening. Then afterwards, they're putting their clothes back on. Then out of nowhere, Ghostface enters the room behind Billy and stabs him in the stomach several times. Then starts chasing after Sydney.
And I thought Billy was dead after that. I like after that, like getting stabbed multiple times. Like I thought he'd be dead.
Yeah, it was a good, at the moment everyone thinks he's dead, but apparently it's a fake out. We'll get back to that. So we
And
get this
then he
very
proceeds to
long chase
escape.
sequence.
Yeah,
Huh?
she escapes Ghostface, although Ghostface keeps catching up to her. Like she jumps like 2 or 3 stories from the balcony and lands on this boat, all covered up. Ron walks to this news
Yeah.
car and noticed that the cameraman is well. Actually, I don't think she saw the cam. Wait, no, yes, no, no. The cameraman was still
It
alive at
wasn't the
that moment.
cameraman. She saw Tatum's body hanging from the garage door.
Oh, that's right.
When
Because
she climbed off the boat, the first body she sees is Tatum's.
like she didn't know that Tatum was dead until that very moment because Tatum
Yeah,
was in the garage grabbing beer,
yeah, exactly.
and then out of nowhere, and then what really is was also crazy too is that like the cameraman because the cameraman gets killed as well, while Gail and Dewey, right?
Yeah, Gail and Dewey are going out for a walk because Dewey wants to get her alone because he wants to make a move towards her because he's a huge crush on her the entire movie. And then his throat gets slashed.
Yeah, his like yeah, the cameraman's throat got slashed, and and this also comes to this also came to realization for the two when they noticed another car. There was another car there too.
I think I know what you're talking about. Gail and Dewey find Sydney's dad's car like hidden in the woods next to the road and start running back towards the house. And meanwhile, when they get back, Gail tries to drive off in her van, and then blood starts pouring all over the windshield. So she turns on the windshield wipers, and and then the cameraman's body comes flying off the hood, and then she crashes into a tree.
I mean, yeah, that was crazy. Well, there won't be a story for her this time.
Um,
Well,
so
technically there was a story. Technically there was a story.
yeah. Now, do you want to go into the famous scene of the killer's reveal?
Yes.
And I'd like to hear your input. Um, when you were watching this for the first time, who did you think the killer was before the reveal happened?
I actually had no idea who the killer would be. Like, I thought it would be Jamie Kennedy because, as the guy who worked at the video store, he's very heavy into movies, especially slasher movies. I thought it would be him, but no, that's not the case. Because until the reveal came out to be Stu and Billy, and I'm just surprised there was two. I was like, what? Why is there two?
Yeah,
Why is there two? I thought there was only one killer.
yeah. I think that Billy and Stu's reveals I thought were pretty crazy. Like I like how Billy's I thought was very crazy where he just goes, "Well, we all go a little mad sometimes." Then he shoots Randy in the shoulder.
And Randy's not dead. He's not dead.
No, but he's not dead. He survives. Don't worry.
Yeah. Same
Then I
with
like
Dewey as
how,
well. Same with Dewey as well. Dewey survives the first movie.
yeah, Dewey got stabbed in the back, but he survived. But Stu's I thought was pretty crazy too. You know, like Sydney runs into his arms for comfort. Then he pulls out the voice changer out of his pocket. Hello, Sydney. You know, like
Hello, Sydney. Remember me.
yeah. Like the reveals, I like that was so crazy. I never would have thought it was Stu, but what's crazy is I was watching a video like a year or two ago, and it showed this cool little detail. The scene that I mentioned earlier, where Sydney walks over to Tatum and Stu, where they're at when they're over at Tatum's locker. If you pay attention, Stu is putting on makeup in that scene, and he's using a mirror to look at himself because the scene before that, Ghostface attacked Sydney at her house and she kicked him in the face multiple times.
Oh
So
yeah.
so he was making sure that those bruises were covered so nobody would suspect him. That was a nice little hidden background detail you wouldn't have noticed at first viewing.
Oh yeah, that's right. Like it's like you don't even realize. I mean, it's just like I didn't even put the pieces together. Like first time watching it, like it's like it's like you don't really know the first time watching it, but the second time watching it, you realize that so now that you put now the pieces come together.
So after the killers were revealed, they also reveal that they were the ones who killed Sydney's mom a year ago, and they framed Cotton,
The other
and their
guy,
plan worked flawlessly. And their whole plan was they were going to make it look like that Sydney's dad was the one doing everything.
but Sydney's dad
But
was in the action as well. Like Sydney's dad was in this scene too. Like he was captured by the two.
yeah, they had him in a closet. What they were going to do was they were going to make it look like that he was the one murdering everybody. But Sydney managed to get away, and then she dresses up in the Ghostface costume, and then she calls Stu and Billy, and she does the voice thing on them, and it slowly drives them crazy. And then she manages to get an edge. And then not long after this, we get a very iconic scene in this where we see what did you think of when Sydney dropped the TV on Stu's face?
Oh, it was. I find it to be satisfying.
Yeah.
That was like a satisfying moment, knowing the fact that Sydney just defeated well one of the killers.
Yeah, and I thought it was pretty cool. Like the last thing Stu sees before he dies is Jamie Lee Curtis in the first Halloween pointing a knife at Michael. That's the
Yeah,
last thing he sees.
that's the last thing he sees, and it's like he's getting a taste of his own medicine.
Yeah, literally. Very
And
creative.
I also like this line that he said before this. He said it's like remember the line that he says. There's like this line that talks about sequels that Matthew Lillard said. Well, he won't get a sequel this time.
Yeah. And I also like that line that he says about Sydney's mom, because apparently it's revealed that Sydney's mom was sleeping around with a bunch of guys, and it turns out that she had an affair with uh Billy's dad, and it led to his parents getting divorced.
Uh oh. Looks like
Yeah.
somebody's been messing around.
Yeah, then Stu's just like, let's face it, Sydney, your mom was no Sharon Stone. Another iconic line.
Well, unfortunately for these guys, they won't be getting sequels. Well,
Oh no. Well, actually, funny enough, dude, I won't tell you, but you need to watch the sequels, especially 5 and 6. They find a way to bring Billy back. I'll just put it that way. It's very creative and very cool. You need to
oh,
watch the sequels.
I will definitely watch the sequels. I mean,
Uh,
I don't have Paramount Plus. Sadly, I don't have Paramount Plus, which is where Scream 5 and 6 are on. But I will find a way to watch them.
all right.
And
Um,
and oh, while I'm on the subject of sequels, did you know that Matthew Lillard went on to appear in two live action Scooby Doo movies?
oh, of course I did, dude. I Those movies are part of my childhood. I watched both of them all the time growing up. He is Shaggy.
Live action
Like
Shaggy.
he literally looked like he walked out of the TV. Like he was so perfect.
Like
Like,
wow.
dude, I'm telling you, dude, if I had to pick one movie where the casting was too perfect, it's the live action Scooby Doo movies.
Oh
The
yeah.
actors they picked were so perfect.
Yep.
The best casting I've ever seen. One of the best.
I wish the writing and CGI for that movie would have been better.
Well, it was the early, like, dude, those films came out in 2002 and 2004. Like, CG was still in the origins mode at that point. Like it was a brand new thing still at that point.
That's true.
I
Yeah.
guess they were just like it's not as bad as other stuff I've seen.
Oh, that's a good point. I mean,
Yeah, like those movies CGs have dated. See, those movies CGI has dated slightly better compared to others. But getting back to Scream, how did you think of Billy's demise?
like Billy's demise, like I find it hard to believe because like the first time he got stabbed multiple times, but he's still alive. But he literally like come like I find it hard to believe because like every time Sydney tries to like stop Billy, like he just keeps coming back.
Yeah, like he keeps getting multiple injuries, but I guess that could be adrenaline playing a role at this point. But like he's really hell bent on winning. He wants to win by any means necessary. And I thought it was really cool how Sydney killed and beat him by playing his own game.
Yeah,
Like,
that's like going back to what I said about getting a taste of your own like a taste of the enemy's own medicine, like
yeah,
how
bingo.
Stu got a taste of his medicine and now Billy's getting that taste of his medicine. But it wasn't just Sydney who was doing this too, but the news reporter Gail comes in to stop Billy as well.
Yeah, like I think it was very cool that actually did something to help for once in this movie. Like she actually ends up shooting Billy in the shoulder and she saves Sydney's life. And I like how she's like, I didn't forget the safety that time, bastard. Like I thought that because earlier she tried to shoot him, but she left the safety on.
Very clever one liner, and
Oh yeah.
and wasn't and I think there's also a moment where wait a minute the killer's not dead yet. Wait,
Yeah.
is the killer dead? No, the killer's
Um
not dead. One more
yeah.
shot to the head. Boom.
Yeah, that scene was very cool. Like Gail, Sydney, and Randy are staring at Billy. Randy's like, "Be careful. This is where the monster comes back for one last kill." And Sydney's standing there with the gun in her hand. Billy, like, he opens his eyes, and the minute he does, Sydney shoots him right in the head, and she just goes, "Not in
Bullet to
my
the head.
movie."
I believe Jamie Kennedy stole the whole movie too.
I'm telling you, dude, he was one of the best characters in this. I like to think that if I was in a Scream movie, I'd be him.
Yeah.
I find him to be very relatable in a lot of ways. I feel like I would have, if I was in a Scream movie, I'd be him because I'm the giant, movie lover. I know all the history on the movies, and everything. Like that's me.
Oh yeah. That's what I'm talking about. I mean, hey, if there's ever a movie that you and I will be in, do you think we'll be in a movie together in the near future?
I feel I would be very good in a Scream movie.
Oh, that would be awesome. That would be awesome. Like
Yeah,
that would be a dream come true. Like
dude, I
it
could have a cameo. That'd be enough for me.
cameo, yes. A cameo would be good. A cameo
Yeah,
would be good. Oh,
yeah.
that's if we get a Scream 7. Like I'm hearing I heard they're still working on it, but I don't know if it's official if they're filming it.
I don't think they're filming it yet. I think they're currently writing out the story. There's a lot of things up in the air right now. We have the current writer and actor strike still going on, so I don't know how long it's going to be before we get any more new updates regarding the movie. I don't know yet, but
Yeah, that's true. That's true. But I like, but but for the movie Scream, like the movie itself is so good, is good, and and for what is worth, I say it's worth the watch. And for the most part, like the story itself is good. The acting is also good too. Especially
there's
the
not one bad performance in this.
not one bad performance. There's no, I mean, like everybody did their parts very well.
Yeah, I think this movie has aged like a fine bottle of wine. Like this movie redefined slashers. Like what's funny is after this movie came out, a lot of movies came out after using a lot of influence from Scream. Like you have I Know What You Did last summer that came out the following year, which is another amazing slasher film. Highly recommend. Very good. You had then in 1998 there was Urban Legend, another amazing slasher that has pretty much the same premise. Very cool. Then in 2001 you had Valentine, another hidden slasher gem. That's a good one too. Like that, every movie that came out after Scream all took huge inspirations from it.
Yeah.
It was a huge successful film.
You know what, Christian? I agree. I agree. Like this movie holds up so well. Other movies took inspiration from the Scream movies.
Yeah, I think when you have that many films taking inspiration from yours, I think you really did something. I think you had an impact.
Yep. Yep. So much. So much. So much impact. And
Um,
then also to say this, even with the first Scream movie, it took inspiration from other slasher movies that came before the first Scream movie.
Heck, I would even argue, I think the Scream film, another thing I really liked about this is that the movie does a good job of like it the movie really makes fun of the cliches you see in horror films. Like when Sydney gets her very first Ghostface call, she says that horror films are an embarrassment.
Oh,
Like she says something a lot like she says that horror films, she's like, I don't watch horror. They're all the same. They're all about this big-breasted girl who went left instead of going out the front door. It's
actually, yes, I
embarrassing.
remember. I remember her saying that. Like almost every like you
Yeah.
like she's like you get this woman, and then all of that, and then you get the killer, blah 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 blah, and then like kind of like
Like
going
she
off what you
makes
said.
very silly decisions. Yeah, like I get where she's coming from. Like they made the girl purposely stupid and helpless. Um, but the movie does a really good job, I think, of making fun of the cliches in a good way, of course.
In a very good way, yeah.
What would you rate this first Scream film, Codoman?
Oh, if I were to rate this movie, I give it a 10. I give it a 10. 10 out of 10.
Yeah, I would too. You see, I don't use the term masterpiece very often. There's only a certain number of films that I would give that term to. And as far as I'm concerned, this movie is a masterpiece. Like, I don't see any negatives with it.
No,
No
I
matter how hard I try, there is nothing negative that I can say about this. As far as slashers go, this is a perfect movie.
yeah, this is one of those like this is a one of those perfect this is one of those perfect horror movies or slasher movies that you can actually watch. I mean with the success of this movie, we got sequels. Because of this movie, we got sequels.
Yeah, exactly.
And
And
and it's still
this
going.
movie, I think, is even bigger now than it was back then. Like this, like Scream is so popular in pop culture, and I think it's only gonna continue to grow from this point.
Yeah.
Like that's just a fact.
And the movie is so popular. Um, we there's even Ghostface masks.
Oh yeah, like any Halloween store now, you can find Ghostface costumes like easily.
Yeah, hey, look at that! Ghostface is popular now with the movies and the masks. Although, unfortunately, I'm just a variant of Codoman.
And you can find all the Scream films on Blu-ray at like your local Walmart or Best Buy because
Yeah,
they know they sell.
yeah, they sell. But other than that, the first Scream movie, very good movie. Wes Craven did a fantastic job with this movie. it's like he knew what he was doing. Like he knew what he was doing, and in fact, the writing for this movie is so good. Like the writer for Scream, his name was Kevin Williamson. He was a struggling writer at the time, and he wrote this movie and was inspired by reports of a series of murders by the Gainesville Ripper. Like he wrote this movie based off of on a series of murders that happened,
Yeah.
and and with that screenplay that he wrote, and of course putting in the cliches and satirizing the slasher genre from Nightmare on Elm Street, Halloween, Friday the 13th, among many other slasher genres, he was able to write a story for that. Like he did a very good job with it. Like I say, the writing, you gotta give credit to the writer for this movie. He did fantastic as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm just very happy that I live in a time now where I can watch, any of these Scream movies. I love these films a lot. It's one of my favorite franchises, and I love getting chances to get to talk about it.
Yeah,
And Scream is just a 90s time capsule in the best way imaginable. And it's one of the greatest scary movies ever made, as far as I'm concerned.
yeah. I say like this film holds up to this day as one of, if not the greatest slasher movies of all time. And I say one of, if not the.
One of the greatest. Yeah, I don't think it's a good idea to name like one movie like the greatest. There are all kinds of films that are amazing that deserve to share that light of amazingness.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I totally agree with that. Same with you. Same with
Yeah.
here. Same with me here, Codo man.
Uh, but Codo Man, I would like to thank you for inviting me on for another episode. And I gotta tell you, I think you picked a very good topic with it being late October. I think you picked a very good choice. I think Scream is a very good film to talk about, and I'm very happy that I got to join you and talk about this film.
Yeah, you're welcome. Yeah, you're very welcome. You're very welcome. Oh, and thank you, Codo Ghostface or Ghostface Codo for coming on board. Yeah, you're welcome. I mean, I was just wandering around. I was just wandering around when I heard the Scream film. I was like, ooh, I should come on board.
Yeah.
Yeah, but don't worry. Don't worry. Codo Strange, the Sorcerer Supreme of cinema films, is he's out to do other. He's doing other he's in different multiverses right now, so you don't have to worry about him popping up.
Yeah.
But anyway, I would definitely say that's a wrap for this episode and a wrap for Codo Cinema Horror Month. So yeah, this is a wrap. And for those who are listening, I hope you had fun listening to this episode. I hope you had fun listening to this episode. I also like to hear your opinions on this movie. What did you think of the first Scream movie that came out in 1996? Did you like this movie? Did you thought this movie was okay? I would like to hear your thoughts on this. But other than that, I like the film. Christian, DJ Apollo, you like the movie as well, right?
I love it very much. Very.
Same with me right here. Also, I would rank it a 10 out of 10 as well.
Yep, 10 out of 10 for me.
Yep. So, anyway, that's a wrap on this episode, and that's also a wrap on Codo Cinema Horror Month. So, thank you all for tuning in to Codo Cinema. I'm your host, Mark Codo, aka Codoman,
And my name is DJ Apollo.
and I'm Codo Ghostface or Ghostface Codo. Remember to watch movies and have a happy Halloween. Stay positive and good night. Until next week.